A very, very warm good evening. This is Arunava Chaudhary. You are live on my YouTube channel, Arunfoot. It is Monday, July the 21st, 2025. And welcome back to my channel. Welcome back for another Indian football discussion with the future of Indian football in doubt being sort of my title for today. And as always at the start, some of you might be watching it later. If you like the conversation, leave a like behind. Share it with other people so more people can join into our conversations. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. And if you're new, also get involved in our conversations on Indian football and be part of the conversations, and do have a look at the shorter videos that I try and make on a daily basis. The latest one which I made today was if FIFA should step in at AIFF and Indian football chaos. Yesterday, more about the AIFF. So do watch that, and thanks a lot as always on that as well. Good evening, Trader Wala. Good evening to the others as well. It's another day. It's another day where we're hoping that things will go in the right direction in Indian football. But is it? That's the question that I, of course, ask again and again and again. And where are we? How are we positioned for those circumstances? Are the things really going the way that you, I, we should all think about? And is my concern in regard to Indian football at this moment in time. That where are we? And let's see. Madam Phenomen, good evening also to you. Waiting for Supreme Court decision eagerly. Yeah, Madam Phenomen, it's waiting for decision is one thing. I am worried on the other side, because if I look at the more I look at the national sports bill, the more that I look at a potential decision by the Supreme Court, the more I am worried that the international bodies, be it the IOC at global level in regard to the Indian Olympic Association, and on the other side, if I look at football and FIFA, I guess they could be put into a situation or forced into a situation where they need to step in at what is all happening. And for me, this is something which needs to be understood, and it is it's a problem. Let's wait and see where this takes us. The consequences might be worrying enough, but I feel the suspense and uncertainty is not good at all. I know what you mean, and you're right. But the point is, what is right, what is wrong? So that is my thought process, my approach in regard to things. And to me, the worrying fact is that I feel that we are in a situation where we are, and one will have to wait and see if the decision that is going to come out is going to help us or not. I think that's my concern at this moment in time. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Hi, Waman. Thoughts on Pakistan and the hiring of the new manager? Also, rumors of him Löw to Uzbekistan his course. Is it true? Nobby Solano is supposedly candidate for the new role as Pakistan head coach. I don't know if that has been confirmed or not. But I've heard something also last week when I was in London that there is some sort of conversation going on in regard to a new Pakistan head coach. And on the other side, yes, Joachim Löw has been linked to the Uzbekistan job. Joachim Löw himself has said that he is in conversations, so to say, with people, and so we'll have to see. What happens if Uzbekistan actually sign him or not? But to me, Joachim Löw, as a head coach for Uzbekistan, would be a statement signing, in my opinion. If that happens, wow, that's that's a big naming of a coach, and yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. And very, very interesting one that Joachim Löw, who's been sort of out of the scene, so to say, since leaving the Germany job now 4 years ago, being linked to Uzbekistan. Interesting. Uzbekistan is in the market also, so that's an interesting one to see, and we'll have to see, who signs where and who doesn't sign where. But a lot of rumors. But that also means that Stephen Constantine is on the market. So for India, if we come back to the Indian football discussion, then that Stephen Constantine is a candidate within Indian football, and we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. If Stephen or if Senor Habas or maybe the local options of Chandra Sen or Khalid Jamil will be discussed. Again, there are other coaches who have applied as well, so we'll have to wait and see what really happens within Indian football. And that's the topic today, right? The future in doubt for me in Indian football. I think that's why I've taken the elements of the Supreme Court, the All India Football Federation, and the Indian Super League trophy, where we have to see what really happens to us, because the question at the end of the day is the league, whatever it is, so to say, needs to continue on one side. On the other side, what happens with everything else? And on the other side, how do the courts, how do the authorities, how does the government help Indian football at this stage? And to me, that's the big question, in my opinion, at this moment in time, right? Where and how can they really help Indian football rather than putting stumbling blocks and creating problems as was created in 2022, right? So therefore, that's the big thing. Mohammed says, I feel Stephen should come back. He knows Indian football in and out. Yeah, Mohammed. If we look, to me, if you ask me, Stephen and Habas to me are, without, as I said, without knowing who these 170 plus coaches are who supposedly have applied, who would be my two favorites. And I tell you why, because Stephen has coached the national team twice, knows the system inside out, and Senor Habas is the most successful coach in India since the start of the Indian Super League. So to me, those two factors, if you ask me, would be reasons to say that those two, if someone would ask me, would be my sort of preferences. Please enlighten me on this. Should AIFF make a project and hire a coach on basis of that, or the coach should make a project and show to AIFF? It seems the latter is happening. I might be wrong. Methamphetamine, I don't think, if you ask me how I would think to approach the current situation of appointing a new national team coach, I would suggest to the AIFF, if I was asked, I would say to the AIFF, focus on the short term and don't talk about any project, right? Be it from the AIFF perspective or be it from the coach perspective. My simple task, if I was the AIFF, my simple task would be up to March next year. So that's why I say the contract actually could be up to next summer, in the sense that, again, if the coach fails in March, the coach goes in March. The job is to try and qualify India for the AFC Asian Cup 2027. Nothing more, nothing less. If you qualify them, your contract gets extended till the Asian Cup in Saudi in January 2027. Nothing more, nothing less. That would be, if you ask me, that would be my approach. So the challenge here is, what do you do? Because if I'm talking a project, I need to give a coach then not only the next few months, but I would then have to say, you know what, until the end of the qualifiers of 2031 of the Asian Cup, right? That would have to be my cycle. So therefore, I don't think that a project at the moment makes sense. I think it is a short-term contract to try and get to the Asian Cup. That should be the aim. That is all that I think that we should do at this moment in time. And then what should see what can achieve, right? What can be achieved, right? So therefore, that's the challenge, in my opinion, right? We are thinking, in my opinion at least, way too long term, and we're not realistic in what we want to achieve, and therefore we need to be honest to ourselves, what we can achieve and what we can't achieve. So therefore, for me, that's a very important choice to be made about when and where and how do we get there. And therefore, if you ask me, short-term goal, Asian Cup, and if it works out with the coach, extend his contract for a certain period of time. Those who know will say Bob Houghton was the best Englishman we ever had, not Constantine. Methamphetamine, I would be one to agree with that, right? With all due respect to Stephen, but Bob was of a different level, and Bob got a lot of things done. So therefore, yes, if we want to talk that way, then surely Bob Houghton has been, over the last 27 years that I've been closely involved in Indian football, the coach that I would speak about. Good evening, Gear on Rare. Welcome back. But again, the project is made by competent people too, right? Yes. Normally, such a project should be made by the national team department. They should set criteria and then say, you know what, these are the things that I want, these are the things that I need. Can you fulfill them? And if you can't, then we need to have a conversation about things, right? Then is how do you get those things done? So therefore, for me, that's the challenge. That is going to be the question. How do we get things in the right direction? And to me, the challenge would have been always, how do you get a right project for a national team going, be it men's or women's? For example, for the women's, it seems like the AIFF has created a realistic plan for the next few months up to March 2026. And therefore, very often my short-term goals are more important than my mid to long-term. My mid to long-term are very wishy-washy things. You could say, you know what, I want to qualify for a World Cup. I can want to do this, I want to do that. But my short-term goals, if you have realistic goals, you can actually achieve things. And that is where I think at the moment I would be very cautious. And once upon a side, I would say, you know what, these are the things that we need to talk about, and need to see how we get there, right? So it is to me very, very important how we get to that point, and that's the challenge. And therefore, for me, the national team, very, very important. Basically, a realistic short-term goal is the way to look forward. At the moment, given our realities, both in the men's and the women's team, I'm looking up to March 2026. Again and again, I'm not looking till, I don't know, 2030 or something. Bob changed the dynamics of the Indian team, and to some extent, Stephen continued in his own style. I would say it differently, Gyan Rare. I would say that Stephen, let's put it this way. 25 years ago at this time, India was in England. Tomorrow will be the 25th anniversary of India playing Fulham. So to me, a lot of things changed with those trips to England, and therefore, to me, very very important. How do we get to those and get into those situations or not? And therefore, for me, very very important. How do we get to those situations? So to me, it's a very big conversation at the time, and we'll have to see what happens, right? So therefore, for me, if you ask me, Sukhvinder Singh created a few things. Then Stephen changed a lot of things in the early 2000s, 2002, 2005. Bob came in 2006. Bob took it forward, and then we had an inconsistent period with Armando, with Savio, with him Kurmans and everything, and then at some stage we were down and out, and then Stephen came back, built something. So that's how I'd see it. Is the national team coach salary also borne by the government? No. Maybe the government subsidizes it to a certain extent, but the national team coach money is borne by the AIFF. And what I always say is, people say that, oh, you know what, their public money is being spent. Most of the money over the last few years is money from Reliance, from FIFA, and from the AFC, and some money that the AIFF generates here and there. Government support has been cut down to the minimum. So some of the coaches have had, or if they're special projects, even there have been projects where foreign federations of FIFA, AFC have helped the AIFF. The AIFF reacts rather than prepares in advance. Adi, yeah, you could say that, but I would say on the women's part, I think they've, so therefore, it should be the way, but it's not done always in the way. Hey Blue, welcome back. I am doing fine. Hope you're doing good as well. Says the John, have been passed because there was no news today about it. Adi, there is no date set for the Supreme Court, so we don't know. So therefore, we'll have to wait and see. Right. So therefore, if we'll have to wait and see when. As originally, I thought someone said 15th and someone said 18th last Friday. It's not been listed. It's still not listed. So therefore, yeah. Is in this age, is it possible to have such hybrid friendlies like against Fulham? Yes. Why not? If we would, as the Indian national team, say, listen, you know what, we would go back on a tour to England, let's say, we would find teams to play us. I mean, Fulham played us, what was it? Yeah, July 22nd, 2000. We then played West Bromwich Albion and then played Bangladesh after that. So all of this is possible. Why not? So therefore, do you think that Fulham will have a friendly with us? Absolutely not, because there's a huge. It's not about the gap, Adi. Why did then Bayern Munich play against India? Right? I've organized the Bayern Munich matches against India or against Mohun Bagan. If you're looking at standard, then they wouldn't play us. So therefore, all of this is possible, and this was possible because there was a gentleman in the UK who wanted to try and help Indian football on a number of fronts. He enabled Baichung to join Bury. He got India over. He even got in 2001 made a trip possible for Pakistan in 2000 and actually Bangladesh over as well. So therefore, this whole South Asian thing in the UK, which has been happening over the last 25 years, was started exactly 25 years ago at this time. Is government not funding football due to incompetent president, or government has no interest? Government has no interest. The president is a government person, right? If the government was interested, they would support us, right? Pakistan got a new coach. Blue, supposedly, Nabi Solano is supposed to be the new coach of Pakistan. We will have to see. Again, I've heard that they are looking for a new coach. Stephen will not continue. So therefore, yeah, let's wait and see. You like the CV of new Pakistan coach? Mean he's been assistant at Paraguay for a long, long time. Experienced Premier League player. But if you ask me, if I look at the needs and requirements that a Pakistan have, I'm not sure if he's the right CV for Pakistan. If you ask me that way, because to me, someone who's set to join a national team like Pakistan with all its given issues and problems, yeah, it needs something special to be able to go there and coach. The federation is in a rebuilding phase, in a complicated rebuilding phase, I would say. And for me, I'm not sure if it's the right decision or not. We'll have to wait and see. Surely with his experience, again, they will get players in from the UK, right? So someone who's played in the Premier League. So also that thing does work. So therefore, let's wait and see if he's appointed, and if he's appointed, what he can do. Supreme Court already delayed it by 3 years, so we can't tell. Blue, they've not only delayed it by 3 years, they've delayed it, I think, 5, 6, 7 years, if you want to really add it up. This decision could have been made in 2018 or 19 on that original constitution, which then was changed. Adi says, President has no interest, otherwise he wouldn't scrap Indian arrows for nothing. Or the Indian arrows were scrapped for a simple reason. It was costing them. It was a financial decision. It's not of interest. The Indian Arrows project, for example, was scrapped because it was costing money, and the AIFF was not able to generate the money that was needed. All friendlies are possible. Our federation really want to suck up all the money and things. This is not about a money conversation. This is also about someone taking ownership and saying, you know what, I want to do something with India, take you somewhere and get you friendlies. And to me, that's the point. It's not about all the money and all that stuff. If someone came tomorrow and gave this opportunity, like Raj Purohit, that's the name of the gentleman in 2000, got India, or 2001, 2002, to come to England and play those friendly matches against lower league teams. Fulham and West Brom at the time were both League One sides, what is now Championship, and that would be possible. But you know, Oliver played his last game against India. Yeah, that was also. Do you feel South American coach can help Indian players? To me, it doesn't matter where the coach comes from. As I said with Nabi Solano is not a typical South American coach because he spent most of his career in England, right? Playing mainly for Newcastle and West Ham. So, yeah, to me, therefore, I'm not sure. A pure South American coach, I don't know, someone with an European experience would help me a little bit to be convinced. Adi asks, Geron Rare, man, do you know where 5,000 crores were gone? No reason, there's no transparency. If it's there, it's for damn striker cash course like decision. Adi, do you know 5,000 crores was spent on the ISL? I mean, do you understand that? Do you understand that Reliance spend it on organizing the league, on running the league, on building the Reliance Foundation Young Champs program, on building projects like the Nopang League and other things, and therefore, and the club spent the rest of the money. So where is it linked to the AIFF? Yes, the AIFF got 50 crores per year, but those 50 crores per year to run the AIFF, again, people will come, oh, you know what, they spend it on samosa, they spend it on this. No, those 50 crores were mainly spent on running the I-League, on running especially national teams and the national team setup, and even football hours. So those are the realities. I know Indian football fans will always say that, but those are also the realities. Indian football season starts on Wednesday. Tune into Sony Sports Network to watch oldest tournament of Asia. Yeah, Football India. But you know what I tell people? I am not in the mood of watching football given the current scenario. And this Duran Cup is a forced tournament. I feel, I don't know, so therefore for me, yeah, again, let me see if I find something to watch it. But to me, priority is not to watch Duran Cup at the moment. To me, is to have a look out at what's the future of Indian football at the moment. Indian Arrows was costing them 6 crores per year, which was worth it. Yeah, Rohit, that was until it was shut down. And it would most probably now cost about 8, maybe even 10. But as you say, that was worth it spending the money on it. I mean, they could just not take the case stating not under their jurisdiction, which is the point all anyways, and we would be much better now complexity. Blue, it's if they understood what I said and I spoke to the people, I explained to the COA what the situation is and what they need to tell the Supreme Court. I even said, if you want, get a hearing, and I would like to, not in public but in private, would like to have a conversation with the judges and explain to them, or justices, how it works. So therefore for me, it is they've not understood it, and that's my biggest concern, that there are people who are trying to decide on something which they don't seem to know and don't seem to understand, and that's for me a very, very concerning point. If so therefore for me, let's see, the whole money just only goes into PR, nothing else. Yeah, and that's also, they do a lot of PR, but they're not spending money on PR. What are they spending PR on? You just put out a tweet or you send the press release out there. PR is happening. It's not a money burner. I-League 2022-23 budget 14 crore, 23-24 budget 10 crore, 24-25 budget 6 crore under job. I-League has been destroyed. You could say that, but if you're saying that the 6 crores are being spent, look at the expenditure from the I-League clubs. On the other side, it's not been destroyed, Manolo. It's been realistically cut down. And what has been cut down? It has been cut down. What has been cut down? Subsidies to the clubs, which I've always said to the AIFF, because why are you subsidizing clubs? It doesn't. For me, it doesn't work. And if the AIFF doesn't have the money, you have to cut down on things which you don't think there's a value to it. Sounds hard, but that's the reality, right? Everybody in the Indian system wants the AIFF to do everything for them, but that the AIFF is not able to market itself is a problem in itself. But all clubs at all levels need to ask themselves, what have they done, right? I mean, the ID club spent 2.5 crores last time around to get the I-League broadcast on Sony, right? People, I remember, used to say, oh, you know what, Sony is this, Sony is that, so that's the reality. In general, South American game seems more physical than technical. So I had this question. Listen, methamphetamine, yes, it will be physical, but look at, it's not about, it's about the coaching style and about the coaches, right? So therefore, for me, do you explicitly train that, or is that the way they're, let's see. Harsh's reality today, if a national team plays with Pakistan, they're likely to lose. Now, even Pakistan had foreign coach director. One day comes when they are in Asia Cup semi-final, us nowhere. Shanlata, they've had foreign coaches now a while. They've had our former coach over there. So this is nothing new in that way. Let's see. Let's see what Pakistan does. Konnichiwa. Goku, Server Rangers is not able to do well at Continental each and every time. They do well in the league with a good squad, but from UEFA, Europa League to Champions League mostly they reached final twice back in 2008 and 2021. Still, they're not able to make any big impact for competitions after dominating Scottish football for years. Have they been dominating Scottish football for years, Conrad? Scottish football has been dominated by Celtic, right? Celtic Glasgow has been the bigger entity in Scottish football now for I don't know how many years, but they are the bigger fish in that, right? So Rangers, even in Scotland, are not number one. They were even in between, were relegated due to financial issues to the second tier of Scottish football, which is the first division. So therefore, they are not, in my opinion, they are not anyone big And therefore, that's how I would say I see it. And is technical committee competent enough to appoint national team coach? I don't think so. I agree with you, Manoj. No, they're not. If I look at our committees, I would think that it would be time for the committees to resign, right? Appeals committee has no value. I mean, the appeal committee has made so many errors and mistakes. Yeah. And player status committee, same problem. Technical committee, same problem. I would think that, if you ask me, an overhaul of the committees are needed as well, not just of the top brass of the AIFF leadership. And therefore, that's part of the problem. And look at how the technical committee appointed Manolo, right? You had X number of applications for the role, and somehow hush hush Manolo got the job. And was he the best candidate? Was he the right candidate? In my opinion, he wasn't. And that sadly was proven right. I wished and I hoped it was. I don't know. Sorry. There is an extension clause in MRA, but FSA wants them in their own terms. AIFF should not back down and try to negotiate. Nadeem, the AIFF had a chance, right, over the last 2-3 years to reach out to Reliance and say, you know what, let's work on this. Let's try and figure out, can we get on a new contract, right? That would have been, how do we extend the MRA? If we extend the MRA. They didn't do that. I remember I had a conversation in Bangalore after the SAF Cup final victory in 23. I said, listen, now's the time. You're on a high. Get something out of the contract. Reliance made an offer, which I think is the right one from a league perspective. You're trying to put the pressure more on the clubs, on the federation, to ensure that they also work in the interest of the league. So therefore, for me, the AIFF missed the bus. What was the AIFF's counter offer? I mean, it's being now reported by people. This is funny, right? Every 2-3 days ago, people were saying, this has been. It's like, hey, listen, these are conversations which happen over the winter. The AIFF's counter proposal was, give us the 50 crores, we don't care about the rest. That is the counter proposal of the All India Football Federation to Reliance in regard to MRA. Just keep it as it is, right? And could you please increase the money by 5% every year? So if you're saying AIFF should not back down and try to negotiate, the AIFF is not capable of negotiating. Great idea, but look who's sitting over there trying to negotiate. If the AIFF has again, and this just proves that the people who are running the federation are not in a position to run the federation, right? And that's the reality. So therefore, for me, a lot of things which are being sold as if, they happened yesterday. These are old things. This is old fish. This is not something which happened yesterday or last week. These are things that have happened over a period of time, and nothing has moved. So that's the thing. So So yeah, let's see. If at its best, no friendly for U23, U17. Women friend not able coach decision in front Kalyan job at least with some damn good deeds. At least do some work. Some at least. So Shanata. I don't know if it's true, but is it nervousness against teams? Is it lack of preparation? Or is it because of a lethargic attitude of players? None of the three, Adi, in my opinion. I think it's not nervousness. If you're nervous to play football, you shouldn't be playing football. Preparations, no. What are you going to do more? I think and lethargic attitude, maybe you want to add that, but to me, the biggest problem I think with the Indian national team at the moment is just lack of basics. I think that's, my opinion, the biggest problem we have. lack of quality. And to me, that is something which is hurting us. If we're not good with our basics, how are we going to beat others? But if we're not good with our basics, then if you're playing against better opposition, you're going to get exposed. And that is what's happening with our teams when they play better opposition. That when they face such teams, you know. So to me, to me, those are the realities of things, right? So for me, yeah, it's lack of basics, lack of quality. That's a bigger problem, in my opinion, at this moment in time. Marcus Rashford to Barca on loan, thoughts? Ranlata, to me, Marcus Rashford belongs to this whole bunch of players out of the UK who are overrated. And, so therefore for me, let's see. India cricket meets Man United. Nice moment. Yeah, it's an Adidas moment, but does it have any value? Yeah, let's see. Pakistan Football Federation is getting a foreign technical director, and what are we doing? Hannibal, Pakistan now under Mohsen, who I know used to be with FIFA, even worked together. Someone very interesting, is trying to build something, and let's see, and let's see, and Pakistan football has a certain potential. I think Pakistan football, that's the dangerous part, has a lot of potential. If you see players of origin, last Wednesday I was in London, met a lot of people in London, and if you see, I mean, even the women's team which turned up, or players from the women's team who were there, see Miriam and all the girls over there, they have a lot of potential, and that's going to be very interesting to see how they build on that potential. And it will be interesting to see Marcus's latest post now. Hannibal says, let me see, let me get into this. Okay, he was asked about any big name for men's national coach. Last time there were bigger names like Philippe Troussier, Winfried Schäfer, Miguel Herrera, all World Cup coaches. I don't have the full list of applicants for this year. Not so sure about all the coaches who have shown interest. Yeah. Yeah. Much less numbers have applied this time around, let's be clear, than last year. And therefore for me, we'll have to wait and see. I think, I see it as a short-term project. I see it as a short-term project to try and qualify us for the Asian Cup, which looks tough anyway. But if I look that as a short-term project, then I would have to say, you know what, Stephen Constantine or Antonio Habas would be my choice. Very, very clear. I don't even need to think about other. I would rather have brought, as I said, I would have rather brought in someone new. But if I look at the current scenario, putting a new guy into this, not knowing if the league is going to be held or not held, let's wait and see. Hi Ashish, मैं पेपर की वजह से कम आता हूँ. No problem, Ashish. All the best for your exams. Hope it is going well. The counter proposal of AIFF logic left the chat. Goku, that's the point. I mean, people saying that the AIFF should make a counter proposal. The AIFF's counter proposal was, given the 50 crores, increase it every year a little bit, and we're fine. That's the AIFF's counter proposal. The AIFF is not in a position to make a counter proposal because the AIFF also knows that the properties that it runs is not valuable. And what is Reliance? Reliance said clearly, you know what, we'll run the ISL, we give you back everything, run the rest. And the AIFF had a chance last year, right? They got in SSCN, this, that, everything. I remember they were throwing it, you know what, we're going to get 25 crores out of them, this, that, and then 2.5 crores. I don't even know how much money has come to the AIFF from that deal, right? Just from broadcasting. And sponsorship, no one's come forward. No one. This is where Indian football stands in the year 2025, right? So therefore, if I want, to do something with this leadership, again, if someone has a big corporation in India, a big company, they like to do stuff in sports. They have the money. They want to invest. They just Google a little bit on Indian football. You're not going to find anything good, right? So therefore, for me, that is already a non-starter, you know. So that's the thing, right? Right, more than 40 minutes already. Oh, realizing quite quick on that front. If you haven't, like, share, and subscribe. 13 likes so far at this moment. Share with other people. And we're still at 2,776. Whoops, seems like overnight lost a few subscribers. So, guys, do help me to grow. And as I say, do watch the short videos. Do push those videos because I think they're very, very important. And yeah. Did something. If FIFA should step in, yes, it did something on the lessons and consequences for the AIFF from the CAS judgment, which haven't been any so far. So yeah, do come forward. Hi, it's better if we do the same thing done for 2011 Asian Cup for women's, have them on payroll and give the best preparation, maybe play them in IWL maximum international friendlies till March. Nadeem, how are you going to fund it? And time frame different. India qualified in 2008 for the 2011 Asian Cup. And then the plan was worked out with Bob Houghton to do what they did, to have them on roll for 6 months. At the moment, the AIFF is not in position. I think the plan that they presented is quite well. And you have to also remember that, for example, East Bengal will have to play continental competition and other things. It doesn't make sense to copy that model. 2010, 2011 model doesn't work in 2025, to be very, very honest. One of the girls looked quality in Pakistan women's team based in London, through balls and all are good. Nadeem, they've had 5 of them. And, so therefore for me, so therefore that's they have potential. The women's team has potential. I will be honest, I have 16, 17-year-olds working in my agency as marketing guys, sales representatives, etc., and they have more logical brains than AIFF members. Maybe Piyush, but Piyush, also the reality is that a lot of people think it is relatively easy to run an AIFF. I think this is also something, you do this, you do that, easy to do. It is not. To run a federation in a scale of a country like India is not an easy thing, right? And if you think your 16, 17-year-olds have more logical brains, sorry, but then they will not have the understanding of how to run a federation on the other side, I would say, right? Because it is a very, very complex thing, in my opinion. So therefore, yeah. So therefore, for me, it is. It's the thought process is too easy. It's not for PR. They have to pay the coaches and trainers, feed, house, train the kids, travel costs, doctor bills, and who knows what else. 6 crores was worth it. Everyone killed it. Shaji Prabhakaran killed it. Yeah. Rohit Ranji and Kalyan Chaubey killed it because they wanted to reduce costs to the AIFF. So therefore, that's the thing. Overall, the 50 crores from Reliance sound a lot. People will say, oh, you spend it on this, you spend it on that. 50 crores for an AIFF to spend with the cost of the federation standing at about 100, 120 crores. 50 crores covers half or even less than that. So I don't know if you feel the same, but I watched the podcast of Shaji recently and his whole motive revolves around 90% of AIFF guys are brilliant. It's just the top guy who are manipulative. Piyush, Shaji's podcast with Vivek, what was lacking for me in that one was, introspection. And say, you know what, I did this wrong, I did wrong. Because it was sort of a little bit of a blame game. Kalyan did this, Kalyan did that, and then didn't allow me to do that. Listen, you got yourself into that position. You were trying to get certain positions in the federation. You didn't get the president position. That's why you said, okay, listen, let me come Secretary General. And yeah, maybe not 90%, but there are some good people still in the AIFF. At the time when he was there were some good people still in the AIFF. A lot of them have left, or someone like Anil Kamath sadly has died. That is also a reality of our football. That some good people have gone in the last few years from the AIFF, and therefore we're stuck where we're stuck. And it's a problem, in my opinion. It's a problem, and let's see how and where we can head with this. But in my opinion, it's a huge problem. The way the federation has been run over the last, 33 months, we have not really progressed. We have really moved backwards, and that is a concerning fact. So therefore, for me, let's see. Yeah, maturity-wise, you're correct. My context was for counter offer. They made like definitely it's not easy to run a federation. It takes a lot of maturity and management skills, etc. Yeah, it is. Maturity is one, management skills 100%, but it's also to have some sort of realistic approach, vision, roadmap, right? And that is something which I'm missing. And therefore, that is something where I say, you know what, guys, where are you working on the things that are needed to get you to make those decisions which are needed? And that is something which is 100% lacking in the federation, in the way things are being run at this moment in time. And if you don't change those things, nothing will move. And so that's the reality. That's the reality. It is. To run a federation, again, a reminder from my side, it is not at all easy. Nothing going to change if our AIFF and football going like this for next 5 to 10 years. And till that, I hope we see some big changes. Given the question is, what happens with the AIFF? Is the constitution really the way forward? Again, a lot of red flags, in my opinion. Do we see the changes needed in the federation in regard to personnel? Do the right people really come in? Do the right people really get involved? Again, red flag. And only then things will change, right? If we look at people who are roaming around the AIFF wanting to get in, if they come in, I don't know if things are going to change in the right way that will take Indian football in the right direction. So therefore, that's for me a big question mark. At this moment, it's time, you and I, or we speaking, and therefore, yeah, let's see what we do. But how the people on the profile used to get everything sorted with same money, but can't. Blue, 2-3 factors. One factor is, I think there's been, due to COVID and due to certain international events, the cost has gone up quite dramatically. So that's one factor. Kushal Das, as a finance guy, and he's a former CFO of the ICC, for example, or at IMG, was good with numbers. So Kushal's budget always ensured that he had 5-6 crores which were being put into an FD. So therefore, for me, that's Kushal was of a different level, and again, Kushal was not rated by a lot of people for different reasons, but people didn't understand what Kushal was doing actually. So therefore, for me, that is one, that there's a key factor in having someone who knows how to handle numbers, and someone who you couldn't influence, who did the things and was also very cool-headed with things. So therefore, that's the main thing. Same thing applies to Sunando as well, running the I-League and league department. So therefore, that's it. And therefore, they were able to not only run on that money, they were spending less money, and they were trying to keep the system running and trying to raise money. I mean, these people raised extra money for the Under-17 World Cup preparations and plan. They raised extra money for the Under-17 Women's World Cup, which they didn't see. But yeah, these are the realities. So what do you do right now, sir? This is something people like us don't know, like other than football. Are you part of any club right now, sir? Sorry. So what do you do right now, sir? Something like people like us don't know, like other than football. Are you part of any club? Pish, I work as a advisor, as a consultant, as a strategist for different organizations, mostly behind the scenes, working also on handball, to work on handball in India. And yeah, that's what I do. And I do my stuff rather than behind the scenes. And whenever I have a little bit of time, I do this. This is sort of my fun late afternoon, early evening routine of coming and talking on this platform here on arunfoot and interacting with you guys. Hope is very less this time because the dilemma of FSDL and no seriousness from AIFF shows us that they really don't care about national football. The problem is, I think that they hope something or the other will happen. That's to me, so therefore for me, yeah, this is the problem, right? They had, when they came in 2022 and presented that they are in a situation that they thought, oh, we want to increase the budget, we want to do this, we want to do that. And then like, guys, you're not getting there. You are, how will you get there? How are you able to generate the minds that you earn the money, so therefore, yeah, that's where we are. You cannot get any straight answer from Kalyan, proves he's a true Indian politician, says Goku. Good night, Giron Rare. Doing travel right now. We'll catch soon. Have a good conversation, guys. Thanks, Giron Rare. We'll catch you soon. This is so sad that still today people call Kushal, Sunando, Praful, etc. corrupt, etc. Blue, the problem is that a lot of people just make allegations, so therefore for me, people don't recognize, we'll have to wait and see. And it was very, very clear to me that we didn't realize and recognize that the people who were there, and that's it. What if we absorb a FIFA ban and actually ask the justice system / Ministry of Sports to fix the federation and state affairs and have legit working constitution? We miss international football 3-4 years. Deep, the sports ministry and the Supreme Court has put us in this situation. They are not the bodies which will sort out our football. If you believe that the sports ministry and the government and the courts are going to sort us out, then you're much wrong. So therefore, the problem is also the thought process through the sports bill that the government will overview and intervene in sporting federations. That is against everything that the IOC stands for, because they say a national sporting body anywhere in the world, be it India, be it China, be it in Europe, be it the US, be it in South America, be it in Africa, should be independent of government influence. So the whole national sports bill is for the trash. The government till today, be it the old one which wanted to put in a sports bill and this one as well, no one has told them that, the bill that you're trying to put on the table doesn't work. Welcome to Indian football. Welcome to Indian sports. And if you want to change, that's why I did what I did. I did this short story today on should FIFA step in at AIFF and Indian football, into the Indian football chaos. Because I think FIFA is most probably the only body which can step in and change this, right? Sorry. The unfortunate is now we think Praful is better. I guess Praful had some influence, but what he's doing presently in Maharashtra Football Federation is as well. Piyush, no. The problem is Praful Patel as a president is not your implementing person, right? The implementing person is always whoever is your secretary or your CEO. So if you want to blame the problems of Maharashtra football, you have to ask who is the CEO or who was the CEO or who is the secretary of the federation. That is where the work is done at secretary level. No, the president only appears whenever he's needed. So Kalyan Chaubey being involved as much as he's involved, was there always a need of him being there the way he is? No. Let the secretary run, right? On that point, I agree with Shaji, that Shaji is right, that allow me to work. But again, are you capable and competent enough to do it? That's the other question. What do you think who and all will contest the next elections? Piyush, no idea, right? There will be people who will say, I want it and I don't. Like, Bachchan did his press conference where he dilly-dallied on that fact. Said, I do, I don't, not sure. Raji seems to be interested, and then we'll have to see. I hope that there will be other candidates as well, and let's see who's the right one. But is it right one or is it going to be political involvement? That's the problem. As much as we whine about ISL, the Indian football infrastructure, professionalism among club admins have definitely improved in the country. The expectation has set high. Rohit, yeah, they are higher, they're better, but they're not on the level that need to be. If these guys who have managed the clubs, as I said, I've told multiple times people over the last years, ISL could be in danger of disappearing. Nobody took it seriously, right? If they were that good, they would have contingency plans. They didn't have it. No one did. And even some people are denying the fact that the reality is at the moment there is no ISL at the moment. Okay, so in other countries, judiciary is so much involved in the football, or is it just happening inside our country, like politicians, civil servants, judges, all are after football in India? Piyush, judiciary has gotten involved in other countries and they've been, asked to stand down. Last year, the Brazilian Supreme Court got involved and wanted to remove the president. And they were, kindly asked by FIFA to step back. Otherwise, Brazil would have been banned, right? Look at the mess in the Spanish Federation after the whole KISS incidents, which was sorted by the Spanish sports court. They didn't have to go to CAS. But FIFA also said, sort it out, otherwise we'll step in. So therefore, FIFA has a look. So this is not an India only problem. It happens in other countries, often in South America and Africa and other parts of Asia. That's why Pakistan was banned for a long, long time, because politicians and courts got involved. So it's not an India only problem. I just wish each club had their own youth development to set up talent pipeline for their own club. Forget country, develop youth for your own club. Rohit, it's a nice thought, but the reality is, if you're losing money, right, at all levels, if you're not making money as a club, then you're also looking to cut your losses, right? So therefore, from that perspective, youth development, grassroots is always spending money, not earning money. Judiciary will keep delaying its judgment. The only thing that can save Indian football is the FIFA ban. It will compel everyone to sort out differences. Vikinal, I agree, but the only thing that I would say the problem is with the FIFA ban is, did we learn anything from 2022? The government was desperate to host the under-17 Women's World Cup, right? They didn't care about the AIFF, right? So therefore, then the question arises, how can we sort this out? So for me, we'll have to wait and see. And let's see. When Profile Trail was AIFF president, everyone wants to get rid of, from when new elections happened, when Kalyan became president, everyone's expecting was now we can see some changes, and everybody wants to get rid of Kalyan. If a new president comes, how we can expect no one will change the current scenario happening in football? Gugu, you have a point. You definitely have a point. The problem at this is, I always said, people never valued the work that the old AIFF did, right? Their first aim always was to try and keep whatever they have as a system running and try and build on top of that. And to me, that has not been really thought through, because a lot of people just wanted to get rid of them and say, as I said earlier, with allegations and all. The interesting part with all the allegations that fly around, corruption, this and everything, it's okay, make those allegations. But if you're making an allegation, prove that allegation, as I always say. So therefore, let's see. Is there any possible talk about specific athlete document is going to happen in Parliament this month's session? Oscar, I think that's been created by someone and people have been going gaga about it. I've not heard anything. I've not seen anything of that sort in regard to talks. Do you think spineless people occupy an important position is another problem with Indian sports? Yes, I think. Yeah, huge problem, morally. According to you, what is your main problem? Management or players? Jyotirmoy, there is no main problem as one problem. There are multiple problems. The players, for a certain period of time, have been a problem, 100%. The coach has been a problem, right? Igor Stimac has hampered our development over the last few years, 100%. And of course, national team department and the AIFF have been another problem. So therefore, all these things in their own rights have been problems. and we've not been able to work around and sort things out in the best possible way to take us forward. And that's the real problem, I think, that we have within the AIFF at this moment in time, that we are not as good as we would like to be and need to be to take our football forward, right? Over an hour and 1 minute. Just a quick reminder: like, share, subscribe. Arunfoot here on YouTube. 15 likes so far. 2,777. Thank you very much. And support the channel. Watch the short videos. I did something, as I say, on if FIFA stepping in would be a right thing. Any lessons that we've learned from the gas embarrassment, the gas decision in favor of Interkashi is something. Did something on the players, ISL on or off, other things. Watch those videos. A lot of videos here on the channel. And thank you as always for your support. Let's say if we had an academy as good as La Masia or Ajax Youth Academy, but the issue would always be scouting. Like, there are so less matches happening, so talent pool will be so less. Piyush, your first problem is we having an academy like La Masia and Ajax is not something that it doesn't happen in 5 minutes and it's done. That's your first mistake. If we had an academy of that level, the job of the academy would to ensure that the players get the exposure that they need, right? That is a job for the academy to sort out. If you don't have enough matches, you have to find matches of quality also, because again, even if you have matches, I think you'll have a lack of quality also. So therefore, there are a lot of factors going into this. But if you're saying, oh, you will have an Ajax level La Masia academy, we will not have a La Masia Ajax level academy in the next 20-30 years. Out of the question. How many La Masia level academies do you have in Asia? Do we have any? You'll say, oh, you know what, Aspire has the quality, this and that, everything. Okay, yeah. Aspire, yeah. They have the infrastructure, they have the coaches, but are they producing like an Ajax academy? If you look at Japan, let's say Japan has done a lot of things, but they've got very good academies. But Ajax and La Masia are, even in South America, you don't have that level of academy. So therefore, talking about those things is, it's in dreamland, because we will not be able to get to that level. I always like to say my favorite example is Mohun Bagan Supergiant. If Mr. Goenka, the amount of spending that he's doing, if he spends 10% less on the first team, and he could have the same quality of team and put it into his youth development program in regard to an academy in long term and a grassroots program, he would get the results, but it would take him most probably 15-20 years. Now the question is Mr. Goenka interested in results will happen in 20 years? I don't think so, right? So that's the real challenge here, right? That if someone like him is really interested in this or not, and therefore for me, so therefore, yeah. So that's the problem, if we want to do that or not. But to say, in a theoretical sense, we are not going to be producing a La Masia and Ajax academy anytime soon. For me, players are equal responsible. Like AIFF, if the national team were doing well, then nobody talked about federation like BCCI. Even association has got to be the main thing is management. But Rituma, that's what I said. It's the problem is at all levels. Huh? It's not just national team. It is also at federation level, and it's also with the national team management. So therefore, yeah, it is a big problem. Hi, Satyam. I was in Spain last week and also visited FC Barca Stadium, Camp Nou, and also the achievement of our favorite club. Good, great. Lovely that you were able to see that. But this is something I got to know from Randy, that some club tried to approach his players. Poach his. Why would a foreign club poach Indian players? It's not even allowed. European clubs cannot sign Indian players. So then the story can't be true, right? It doesn't work. right? Mohun management thinks about today and tomorrow, and sometimes they forget to do that too. Do they think about tomorrow? I think that Mohun Supergiant management lives in the today. They don't live in the tomorrow. They want to win something today, tomorrow, day after. They're not thinking about what is happening, you know, and so therefore, yeah, it's part of the problem, and that's the. But Mohun Bagan is not an exception. To me, Mohun Bagan Supergiant are what most of the teams in the Indian Super League, even in the I League 2, I League 3, think about. It's about success now. Why do I bother about the future? Right. So that's, yeah, welcome to the problems that we face in Indian football. So therefore, to me, yeah. Hi Kumar. Acha, World Cup match, not fun. Piyush, isn't that normal in an Indian context that clubs are poaching each other's so-called talents? I mean, yeah. How many of the Minerva kids are actually local? No? They're mainly Manipuri, right? So that's also a thing. They've also come from somewhere. In Spain also I got so much happy that our women team showed that what we can do. You know, men football is different, but women team play for nation, not money. Some of women even earn less than 1 lakh. Yeah, Satyam, that is very, very true. Tomorrow means this season a year max. Blue, yeah, okay. Yeah, they think about the next, let's say, 10 months. Yeah, that's their 10, 12 months. That's their time window. That's what they're looking at. They're not looking at how can I build and create something over, an extended period of time. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem, in my opinion, with with the teams and with the clubs across the leagues, right? Because also, so therefore for me, it's a problem. Just one second. Just have to close the window over there. The problem is that we need to find means and ways of how to sort our things out. Our problem is, which I also understand, because the owners aren't interested on a mid to long term plan. So I work according to my, short term planning, and my midterm is, what is my window? My window is 12 months. If I'm taking a long term approach, then my planning is about maybe 24 months, and that is where we're failing. And as I say, academy, even if you do it right, if you're doing a grassroots program is to look at a 20-year window, and nobody's thinking of that. Even a youth academy that some of the clubs have built, some of the clubs have worked on. How much of results have they really derived out of them, right? So that's a problem. That's a challenge. And we're not getting closer to a solution to that. Sorry, just needed to close that window. And that's a challenge. Our men don't play for nation except some men player like Jingan, Chetri, Mahesh, Abhishek Singh. All other are just money investors. If we play for nation, forget the skill, we can do our women. Satyam, too easy. And so therefore that comparison doesn't work. Actually, most do, like East Bengal, do that most aggressive because the recent season working. Yeah, that's it. I mean, East Bengal has been doing this. They're desperate to try to be successful, right? And that's East Bengal's problem, right? East Bengal, rather than building a program over a 3, 4, maybe 5-year period, has been pushing for things and saying, you know what, let me try and be successful in the next season, and that doesn't work, right? East Bengal has failed over the last 5 years to understand that coming in and playing in the ISL is something different than being, you're no longer a big fish in the ISL. You're spending amongst the most money, but you're not a big fish. But why do you think no one was able to achieve what La Masia and Ajax have achieved in youth football? Just to mention that Cruyff was focal point of these academies. Yeah. Now you've mentioned it. They've had Johan Cruyff. We don't talk that much about other academies. No? Look at Real Madrid has been producing players. Atletico Madrid produces players in Spain. Look at PSV, Feyenoord in the Netherlands produce players. Bayern Munich, Dortmund, Leverkusen, right? They also produce players. And look at the academies of the clubs in the Premier League. So yeah, that is the reality. Scouting is not a problem. Come to Northeast, man. You would see players are playing everywhere. Just you need to guide them in the right way. Yeah, that's also. But you know what my problem is when we talk about scouting and all that stuff. We can discuss all our problems, right? We can discuss that we have a scouting problem. We have problem of the structure. What do I say? Grassroots, youth, coaching, competition, scouting. Biggest problem, right? But if you have an exceptional talent, through hearsay, an exceptional talent will come, somehow or the other will work his way through or her way through. So therefore, and yeah, it's where are players an exceptional technical talent, let's say like an Iron Vision, right? I saw 25 years ago on a day-to-day basis an Iron Vision. Wow. Right? If he was a Brazilian, if he was an Argentinian, he could have been a world star with the technical abilities he had. So yeah, that's our problem. And I've not seen players in the last 25 years with the hunger, the will, the desire that a Baichung or a Sunil have had, right? So I think our AIFF's all system is just rigged. I got shocked that I have seen CS Chinese Super League is promoting themselves in Spain also, and their average and it's 22, but our average is 12. Okay. Even BC Academy didn't put that much what we expected 10 years back. Bro, that's the part of the problem, right? That's why I said when Parth Jindal made that comment against the AIFF after the loss to Hong Kong, right? So, what more to say? Another why these asset clubs do not want to make in the market nation also become sustainable, then they have to do investment for 15 or 20 year youth development for long-term building. To reserve team and senior team also have coaches, more quality coaches rather than quantity, develop ecosystem rather than shut and shop of clubs financial pyramid, bereft of sustainability. Because what we have been talking about in the last 20 minutes, that you're looking at short-term success. You're not looking at, most of the people are working at the moment. Will they be there in 20 years at those clubs? Most likely not, right? So the reality is this, that the system is in such a way that we're not looking at these extended windows of how we can be successful, right? So therefore they don't see that, and you rather again I tell you the example of Round Glass Punjab, where we worked initially on a project, so for me, to me, the thought process is not there to fight it out for the long term, right? My thing was, I said Round Glass Punjab, let's play second division, I-League, play I-League, and then play ISL. What did the owner do? He bought his way into the I League, right? So that's the problem. No? You're not willing to take the steps, and therefore, if you ask me now, tell me now, I say therefore Punjab FC has a lack of certain things which could have been put in place if we took the steps slowly, right? Interkashi, my friends have built something really very, very interesting, but Kashi's not lived up to it. Interkashi is forced to play out of Bengal, right? So Rajasthan United only this season moved to Rajasthan. So we live to, so that's the thing. I talked to many people in Spain who are affiliated with FC Barca and different roles. They just told everyone in Spain want to invest in China, India, but the country AIFF is corrupt. Satyam, what does this mean? Everyone wants to invest. No, the Spaniards don't want to invest. They want to get money out of India. If anyone has told you that, don't believe those people. They invest in China. The Spaniards earn money in China. No one invests in China. No one wants to invest in India. They would invest their time and effort, but they will not invest money. Right? So, yeah. Minerva's won youth championship, beating Norway, biggest clubs. This tells that our youth academy have great talent. Satyam, they first of all didn't play in Norway, right? They played in Finland first, lost the final, and then played in the Gothia Cup. And they're not playing any big teams. Sorry, right? We've had this discussion. I don't want to have that open again. It makes no sense, right? Every time someone mentions Minerva these days, is just laugh. Talking about them is such a waste. Yeah, exactly. But who's going to understand it? I've seen CSL is promoting themselves in Spain, and they also have a contract with Valencia FC, a local in Spain, for training Chinese youth players. Why don't we do this type of things, Shane? Something we've done these. I've done this. I've had this with Bayern in the past. Yeah. And we didn't follow up, and we didn't want to spend on it. The Chinese spend a lot of money on these things. We don't want to spend money on this. But Satyam, I checked right now the fact that they played in U14B because they had financial constraints. So these teams like Ordin FC and the one from Arjun they played are not that good. Piyush, they are not playing in the best level of the U14s. You were talking about the Gothia Cup. And the reality is, for me, these tournaments in Scandinavia are nice to play, right? I even got a press release today from the government of India. There's a press release. One second. Who was this? Okay. So Special Olympics, Bharat football team also played in the Gothia Special Olympics Cup, right? So this is we are in a situation that this Gothia Cup thing is being sold in India, and I remember in the IFA also it was always a big discussion. Oh, you know what? We're playing Gothia Cup. We're playing this. We're playing that. When the Mayor's 11 from Kolkata used to participate, these are grassroots tournaments. It is great exposure, right? Great exposure for the kids because you get a feeling of Europe and grounds and how it happens. These are short matches. These are not 90-minute matches, right? You're playing every day, maybe one, maybe two matches. These are summer tournaments. So this is fun football to me, you know? According to which team is serious about youth development planning for the future, like Prime Boss, I'm talking about their La Masia product, Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, etc. None. If you ask me that way, there is no Indian club thinking that way. La Masia is something special. If you see, again, you talk Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, you will have talked about the earlier generations which was there. You can talk about Lamine Yamal, you talk about Ansu Fati, you can talk about Halilovic, this, that, everything. They produce players left, right, and center. There is no one, you know. I said clubs should invest 30% of money in investment youth academy system. Clubs who don't. I said I.D. owners follow other Asian club of Japan and China. Something because that's not their priority. 30% you're saying a lot. I'm saying start with 10. you know. If ISL doesn't come to a solution, what happens to player, staff, coach, contract? How can government allow over 5K employees lose their jobs all at once? Can labor union step in? I don't think there is a labor union, and it's not on the government. It's on the Supreme Court. If this happens, then it's on the Supreme Court. And yes, this is a reality, right? There are clubs who've clearly told their people, yes, 4 5 different teams also played. Yeah, Piyush, that's also true. That they didn't break it up in one. Some of the clubs, the A and B teams were divided into 3 4 5 teams. I guess you should make a short video how summer European tournament works. We talk about this every day. Blue, I've had teams, PIFA Academy here in Remscheid. I've had the German Football Academy here in Remscheid to play in the tournament, right? So we very normal. What is the best U16 tournament where clubs are kind of from all over the world play? Dallas Cup in the US and Texas. That's by far the best and strongest. What Minerva have done is biggest achievement whole world no matter by some people respected majority knows how much big achievement is this. Please don't bring your fights into our Satyam, stop this BS. It has no value. It has no value. And if you don't want to understand that, it is on you. This achievement has no value. No. Right? And if you want to go on blah blah blah, please go on. But yeah. And if people like you don't want to understand things, that's not my problem. That's your problem. You think you understand football, and then you prove that you don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, I'll be very honest about this. Now I think your idea is to build community by investing on grassroots and development from the base. Clubs want to build over years from the third division or state division instead. Yeah. Kumar, you have to build from the bottom up. Forcing your way up to the top and then thinking you can create is not going to work, because buying out place in league rather than think later 5 or 10 years are different that day, then you can spend your day for anyone to build from. Yeah, very right. So that's the point. Right? And Satyam, nobody's fighting here. We're just talking sense here and just discussing. I've worked with Ranjan, even he makes the same point. Yeah. The whole world knows, says Blue. In the name of youth development, asset clubs mostly take, and I'm not using the word buy players from local academies. Do you think FSDL is thinking of the same way to print it? It is something, if you look at the original plans of the ISL, right? And knowing the original plans of the ISL, it was a priority at the time. But if I look at things now, today, in the year 2025, 11 years later, then those old priorities have not been worked on. And it's a problem, right? And yeah. And to me, that is, I think, the biggest problem we have of facing at this moment in time, that the FSDL, if they continue, need to be tougher. They need to be tougher with their guardrails and force clubs to do certain things if they like it or not. But the problem is the clubs will say, listen, we are losing money. We're losing 20, 30, 40 crores. We don't have money to do all of that. That's the other thing, right? We're talking about infrastructure. We're talking about academy. We're talking about grassroots. None of this is working. We never play in Dana Cup on the 22nd, and from 27th, they'll play Norway Cup. Good. I said, play all those tournaments, get that exposure. But it is nothing more, nothing less. I think national sports policy is in Parliament. Hope it passes in Parliament. Now I've read national sports for 25 papers of 70 pages. There's only 4 sports, only including football. Satyam, let's see what is going to happen. Let's see what happens, because if the national sports policy or the national sports bill, as it's coming through, violates the rules and regulations of the IOC, right? So on one side, India wants to bid, and India goes to Lausanne, and they did 3 weeks ago, and they were told, these are the things. Let's see. So if an Indian club does want to send its U16 guys to get exposure, what tournament can they play in Europe? Not how much it costs to send and stay for 15, 20 days. Utsav, I wouldn't send them to play tournaments. I would rather send them for training camps, maybe even hire an European coach for, if you say, let's say 20 days, 3 weeks, 21 days. Come to Europe, train in Germany, in Spain, in Holland, wherever you want to, it doesn't matter. Get an European coach involved as an advisor, make him work with the team, and then play friendlies. What's the value of playing tournaments which are of short durations, right? Because a 90-minute football, and this is something, again, think about it. Even in the 90s, the Calcutta Football League used to be played 70 minutes, right? You know, so yeah, that's the problem. I think it talks about reviving those plans. Panash, I don't think we're in that situation of reviving those conversations. I think the question at this moment in time is very, very simple. That at the moment, I think the ISL has to ask itself is it surviving at all, right? I think that's the conversation that is being had. Therefore, I don't see any conversations happening in regard to how we can take this whole thing forward. I don't see that, because also if the ISL continues under that new structure, so that's the point. Yes, I can acknowledge one thing. These World Cup batch kids have played from when they were 7 years old and 9 years old on scholarship, and these boys are good at passing, etc. But I don't see future for them. That is hard, right? Do you think any Indian club can get into the Dallas Cup? What should be the risk alternative? Baloch, yes, you can. Yeah. So you can get into the Dallas Cup because you can apply. So therefore, and there are other, to me, as I said, Palash, tournaments are not the right thing to do, because in tournaments, in a short space of time, you're playing a lot of matches. It is also not rather about your best 11, but about your squad. So therefore, for me, what can be the right solution is, as I said, go to Europe or go even to North America. Go somewhere, train, and get that exposure. That's the key thing. So under U15 boys and men are just users. They're just wasting their time, and they have zero talent by winning this Youth Cup. I'm not saying they have zero talent. I'm not even saying they're wasting their time. But you hyping them up because they win the B category of a tournament, right? Has no sense. This is not changing Indian football. So this is what you need to understand. Minerva is going to play Dana Cup next. Or have you heard of that Youth Cup? Your thoughts? Yes, it's the same thing of Dana Cup, Gothia Cup, the Helsinki Cup, whatever they call it. These are all summer tournaments. I've seen clips. It wasn't it normal size ground as well. It's common in youth tournaments to play in shoulder. Yes, of course. You're playing, So if you go into this matter a little more in depth, you will realize it's great exposure. Nice to understand what European football is. Play against different kind of opponents than you would play at home. But these are not 90-minute matches on a full-size field. So therefore, yeah. The biggest joke was the exposure tour of U70 team, and they were boasting that Girona is Real Madrid. Girona, see, there is huge skill gap between A and C teams over there in Real Madrid. Piyush, the tour was not a joke because I saw them in Stuttgart, right? And they were beaten in Stuttgart even by their under-16s. So therefore, for me, that tour wasn't a joke. But for me, yes, playing Real Madrid C of the under-17s, great result for us. But still, you played Real Madrid. So therefore, that is not a joke. See, this is what you need to understand who you're playing, right? We played Stuttgart, they played Augsburg, then they played Real Madrid, and if not, I think Atletico as well. That's a different level. But the point is, who are you playing, how you're playing, when you're playing them, right? You're not going to play the under-17s A team of Real Madrid. An Indian team would get thrashed with them any day. Makes no sense. At the moment, they're discussing if they will shut down or stay with less spending. Blue, I think that's the problem, right? People want certain things, we need certain things. and we're not getting it at this moment in time, and we're not there. So, yeah. So therefore, for me, yeah, we're talking about ISL survival at the moment, right? We're talking about basic survival. We are not talking about the ISL growing in any way. Kalyan is one of the worst leaders, man, I have seen in my life in football system in our nation. You can't even know what policies to make for betterment in football. Says Satyam. So a few of the ISL affiliate clubs in Europe, then why don't they send their kids for exposure? Because it's not so easy to just say, hey, listen, I'm going to say, so yeah, so it doesn't work. Is Dallas Cup good level, like better than Gothia? Piyush, Gothia Cup is like a local para tournament, and the Dallas Cup is like a World Cup, right? You have the best teams in the world playing in that competition over there. So to compare those two, I was reading the other day some of the names. Let me just go back and find the names, right? 1 second. Let me just figure out Dallas Cup, right? So under 19, just a few champions, right? Botafogo, Brazil, Sao Paulo, Mutherland from Denmark, Panama under 20s, Tigres from Mexico, FC Dallas, Everton, Curitiba from Brazil, River Plate, Fulham, Eintracht Frankfurt, Cruzeiro, Liverpool, Atlético Paranense, Nottingham Forest, Corinthians, yeah, San Lorenzo, Real Madrid, West Ham, Dynamo Moscow, Tucci from Bolivia. These are all the under 19 champions from 1990, right, in the super group, right? We're talking of a different level. Did you know any of the teams that they were playing in those tournaments in Sweden or in Finland? Oh, now that Shaggy became upset after I made comments on BFC youth development post, I said if there's genuine real youth in India and India clubs performance would be improved. Kumar, yeah, nice that you made those comments, but again, sorry, who are you to make those comments? Sorry, with all respect, Kumar, right? No one's asking you for your comments, right? And if Shaggy is upset, let him be upset, right? I think Shaggy understands certain things. Shaggy knows certain things. Sanik's Cup in Japan is also good, right? Because Rams Foundation Young Champs goes in that tournament, they got trashed by Japanese teams. Piyush, that's a Japanese school teams beating them, right? So, and you're playing against good competition. Yeah, that's good. I always say India have the most amount of clubs in the world, even 3 times more than China. And Google, you say it's approximately 45,000 clubs in India, but investments they made is less than Spain, which have 500 clubs. Who says that Spain has 500 clubs? Satyam, this theoretical knowledge of I checked Google. Google is not Google, Wikipedia, whatever is nice to get a feeling of things, but the numbers are right. Do we have 45,000 clubs? Do we have more? Do we have less? I wouldn't know how many clubs India has. India itself doesn't know how many clubs it has. I know that Germany has about 25,000, I think, right? Spain doesn't have 500 clubs. Because I was asked Shushmita to contact Mohammad Subhajan, influence them to play as 17 team for the Dallas Cup. He's in Mohnbagan, an AC member and lives in Texas, but don't know if Mohammad Subhajan will listen. Yeah. But Palash, under 17 team, Mohnbagan playing Dallas under 19, double-digit losses. Makes no sense. Mohnbagan would have to create an under 19, or under 18, under 19, would have to create an under 19 team to play. Reliance Foundation Young Team got trashed by school teams, if I'm not wrong, and Sanik's Cup. I consider those as much superior and competitive and high revealing process. Yes, Udita, very, very right. That is the point, no? Yeah. Right. I still will continue surely, but point is, will they change their policy as more youth than frequently given 3 or 4 crore fee of useless orchid players? Satyam, if you know that the ISL is continuing to know more than all of us, because at the moment, I think there's no clarity on where the ISL is heading. at this moment in time. So therefore, we'll have to wait and see what happens. All world-class teams. That was said, Dark Knight. We're talking of a level, again, go and play outside. Very good. Yeah. What is the Dallas Cowboys in Europe, Asia? I wouldn't know any equivalent in Europe as such. There are invitational tournaments, but those are mostly 8-team tournaments. They keep it compact. Those big tournaments are different. You have it not in, as I said, Scandinavia and in that thing, yeah, in the US. So what's up with your former club, Akamoma City FC? Lost Apuya under the nose, no replacement bought. A lot that happens now. If you make a contract like that you give the player the option, if the criteria of the transfer fee, so that's the thing. The Mohun U17 striker Rajdeep Paul scored again today for Bengal, the U16 sub-junior national against Telangana. Bengal won the match for 2-1. Good. You're keeping an eye on the boy, yeah? You've been speaking about it, Polish. Let's see. Is it invitations based or do you need to qualify to play for the AIFF Cup? Utsav, it's about invitations. There is no way of qualifying. India might have 45,000 clubs, but most of them are semi-pros with only 1-3 months of activity. Udipto, if you're running for 1 or 3 months, you're not semi-pro, you're amateur. You might be paying salaries to your players, but you're amateurs. Germany have 25,000 clubs. So even China have 22,000 clubs. How can a nation of 7 have 25,000 clubs? Because we have a club culture. We have a sport. I'm just 25,000 clubs means football clubs, and we've got more clubs in other sports. Satyam, it's part of the culture. Not this year, but in a year or two. Yeah, Paras lets them do it, but for that, Mohun Bagan would have to put in a proper team. As long as we're playing teams that defeat us, we are in an environment where we can learn. Otherwise, if you enter a tournament knowing you'll win, there's no point in glory hunting like that. Vaishnav, very important point. Very, very important point. Very good point. Because it makes no sense. Because if you're playing teams and you're beating them, right? What's the learning process, right? As I would think, we learn from defeats more than we learn from wins. And that's the reality. Now I have Mehta being toxic. Glock, I think Mehta is staying as far as I know, and Valpuya I've heard. Let's see what happens. As I noticed, more of the management would be most happy if they play only ISL and nothing else. ASL2 youth, everything is null priority to them. So them playing outside India, U17 is not going to happen, I guess. Blue, that's part of the problem. So please do an early group prediction for the Durand Cup of this season. Udipta, I've not even been following the Durand Cup. We have so many issues and problems in Indian football that my focus has not been on the Durand Cup, to be very, very honest with you. I've not really focused on the Durand as I might have done or would have done last year. This year, I've not, and honestly, I've not followed. I don't even know which teams are playing in which groups, So that's the thing. Is Gothic Cup not good enough? No, Rahul, it's for exposure, it's nice, but it's not a competition where you're gonna, yeah. So like in UK, we have 4 or 5 homegrown quota. Can that thing work in ISL? Where does the UK have a homegrown quota these days? Right? Dada, why don't we have a women's Durand Cup? The army has women person, but not women teams. That's a good question. No idea. Honestly, no idea. I've never thought about it. The thing is that there are flaws in Japanese football as well, but I know that with what they're doing right now, they will leave everybody behind. And they're so disciplined. Piyush, they've had a plan. No? Their plan was to say that we will win the World Cup by 2050. That was the plan that they started working in the 90s, right? Yeah. So therefore, that's The Japanese have done, so that's the thing. Sorry, but Germany have actually 5K clubs. Hope you check stats also. No, they don't. Satyam, if I'm talking about a number, right, there's an official stat from the German Football Federation. I will not hit out a number just for a sake like you are doing. But if I'm saying that there are close to 25,000 clubs, there are close to 35,000 clubs, right? Because I had a conversation a few days ago. So please, no one is forcing you to have this conversation. So, yeah, if they create a women's World Cup, they might attract some decent European women team or maybe Australian or Japanese clubs. But Europeans, I think, will be tough again from Western Europe at least because the structure is becoming quite similar to what it is in the men's. But I do think, yeah, you could attract teams, as you say, from other parts of Asia. But again, I don't know if has the Durham committee ever thought about this. It's an interesting idea, and I say I've not thought about this as well. So there is a rule where U18 player can't sign for European team, but can Indian clubs send someone for training and development? Yes, but the point is, if you want to come to Europe under the age of 18, you will not get a stay permit, right? That's the problem. So that's the thing. No? There are some clubs which have worse marketing, so less fan base, like Hada Odyssey, Odisha, hope these ISL big clubs spend on marketing to build a fan base. Satyam, we've been speaking that there is no money in the ISL. Clubs are trying to cut down on their losses and you want them to spend more. And I think Odisha FC has done okay for themselves. Japan is some kind of alien country in some aspects. I met a Japanese family in Dubai. They are a bit too disciplined. Maybe Indians can't comprehend, though sometimes feel too cold. Bro, I'll tell you an example from 2004. India-Japan World Cup qualifier, Salt Lake Stadium. And the Japanese game turned up. And the first thing you got is that they had a plan for 49 and a half hours in Kolkata. Who does a plan for 49 and a half hours, right? Okay. And their head of operations was a woman, small, I forgot her name, small Japanese, around 5 feet woman, and she was pulling things. She was organizing. She was not only just giving commands, she was actually doing things, pulling bags and stuff. So they brought their own. I remember they brought their own water. They brought everything. I mean, I was lucky staying in the same hotel. So therefore, we also had I had the capability of eating sushi and all that stuff. But to me, the Japanese are very organized and very structured. As per rumors floating around, don't you think appointing someone like a Chandra Sen or Khalid very less ambitious if we have a look at the larger picture? I'm sorry, but they are not. They are at max staff level. Clock, I agree. To me, as I've said today in the show, I think at the moment, given the realities, I would think that Stephen Constantine or a Bob Houghton, Stephen Constantine or a Antonio Habas would be my choices as head coach for India because those guys are experienced at an Indian level. So yeah, that's something that one needs to keep in mind. Not to pull the Minerva boys down, but I've didn't watch their highlights, and as much of a novice I am at analyzing what they're seeing as players seem to be the U17 World Cup batch. This much hope sets them up for failure on parts of fans. Harsh, but yeah, maybe that's the problem of the exposure that our kids get at that level. No? Can a kid go on a tourist visa and get exposure for 2 months? Utsav, tourist visa is always bad. There are other visas that I don't know what kind of a visa, but yeah, could be done in theory. Yeah. Marcus scored for National League last time around. Yes, I know. Philip Tossier, Vinny Schaefer, Miguel Aguera. There were others as well. No, not only for India. It might sound big, It was big, I would say, but these guys were interested, but the AIFF were not interested for different reasons. So therefore, none of them were signed by the AIFF. So yeah, that's also a reality of Indian football, right? 1:45. Just a quick reminder: if you haven't like, share, and subscribed, and 24 likes, thanks a lot. Do that. Share with other people, and we're at 2,779 at this moment in time. Thank you very much, and yeah, and we need to keep on pushing. Watch the shorter videos that I make. As I said, I did today something on the should FIFA step in. Did something on the AIFF, and yeah, and some stage this week, I'm going to do one of these Indian football discussions in Bengali. Something that some people have actually asked me to do. So let's see when we will have the Bangla version of this discussion sometime this week. I think India should opt Habas as coach or Sanjay Sen. Okay, so then will we ever see light at the end of tunnel in Indian football? Piyush, I hope so. Yeah. Again, hope is, I think, the thing that is left, I guess, in the current scenario. Pakistan has released constant and appointed new coach, so Stephen return to India is quite possible. Yes, that is a possibility. Why these quality coaches are bluffing national team position knowing the standard? Only there are so many coaches without a job around the world. So therefore, yeah, these guys applied for the India job, which I find great. And yeah, last time around. And let's see. Did you hear about the news? Just one source till now that government is just might introduce a special travel document for sports people of origin to think it will work on FIFA side. Vaishnav, I've heard about it. I've even read about it, and it might be that one of my older videos is the source of all of this. Video 875 was the number, I think. Would I speak about this topic? 1 second, let me just check before I say a wrong number. Yeah, 875. How can OCI card holders play for India? Where I speak about the sort of the sports possibility. So yeah, and so therefore for me, just put the video link out there if someone wants to watch it. To me, the question is, I've not heard it from government sources. So, and there's one article and everyone's jumping up and down. So let's see. I just dream of watching Andanda playing for India and scoring for Indian AFC qualifiers. Hope this happens. National sports were a big favor for football. So OCI is mentioned. Fingers crossed. OCI is not mentioned. It says interaction with diaspora. That does not mean OCI. Guys, be realistic. It's either hope or cope for Indian football fraternity. Yeah. At the moment, it's cope and then hope. Does I-League offer more money than Spanish third-tier bottom clubs? Yes, it does. Yeah. So let's see. Not only that, I think some of the I-League clubs with some of the top foreigners brought in, they get paid more than even in La Liga too. So how can FIFA help us clear the mess without banning us? Okay, I think they cannot clear the mess without banning us. If you've not watched my video of the day, should FIFA step in at AIFF India Football Chaos? I think the only option is ban. So therefore, if FIFA steps in, they'll have to ban us. The top which is most corrupt, FIFA or AFC or whatever. I don't know. Honestly, I have no clue. Khalid is never a good choice. Even Minions also said that Khalid is not effective as they have a defensive approach, which needs one good striker team who we ever do what we need now. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Spanish tier 2 clubs or German tier 2 low rank clubs annual contract is value of 2 crore less. There will be clubs which are less, most probably. I don't know the numbers in Spain, right? National Sports Board have OCI mentioned page 57 out of 74. You can see Mansukh knows football need. If he knows, that's good, no? Ranjit has clearly stated his main goal is to send these talented players to Europe as quickly as possible so they can train and compete at the highest level. Ritu, they're not allowed, you know. So to me, 18 plus, before that, not possible. Is Sanjay Sen favorite for India job? Nadeem, I don't think there is a favorite at the moment. There are people in the media who make, sorry, let me just put the light on. There are people in the media who are making people favorites for the job, but I don't think there is, at the moment, anyone who is actually factually a favorite for the job, because the committee needs to come together. No? Diamond Harbour FC today had a press con before Doran Cup. They're saying they will play to win it. Well, if I look at their signings, they're going to push for winning the I League, right? They look really good, and so yeah, they are trying to win it. One of my long-standing doubts about sports bodies like AIFF is that why governments aren't allowed to control them. Doesn't government have a stake as people representatives in determining operations? No, they don't. Vaishnav, if you see political interference in running and sporting bodies, and we've seen that, look at the government interfering with the Supreme Court in the running of the AIFF in 2022. Has it hurt us? So it's, don't think it from an Indian perspective, think it from a global perspective. The sports wants to be perceived at least to be somewhat independent. Then you have to give it an independence level. Yeah, and again, that is something that needs to be remembered, and that's part of the problem of how the system runs or doesn't run. Right? It's a challenge, and one will have to wait and see what changes can be brought in. German average salaries. I'm not going to disclose facts and figures. This is not a public discussion point. And that's what I say. And this is a gem for us, but some people just have jazz factor. No, Satyam, you might think is a gem. I've dealt with him and I've had the other experiences. And again, this whole thing, anyway, you will not understand. You don't understand. Diamond Harbour with Luka Machin, Bright and Bakare, a former Brazilian XU23 who's below 30. Yeah, I think they are playing. If FIFA are keeping eye on the situation, yeah, it looks like it. Do you think Navana has a future, or they will end up like Prague United? Parash, I think there are two things. If I look at Prague United or United Sports as it still exists, they got a company, they funded them for 2 years, and that funding went away. If they had the funding for the long term, then it's possible. I think Diamond Harbour's funding at the moment looks more stable in a midterm. But again, midterm can change. But if that's true, then how fair is it for us as fans to question government's role in growing the sports? Vaishnav, it is very clear, so you can question the governments. The governments are supposed to support the federations, right? They can put in criteria, but the question is, how does this sort of work together? I want that Indian football fans to focus more on national sports policy to get past and than coach, as how much coach can bring forward with these useless over players. Okay. How clubs like Malaysia CFA clubs have survived so long, 100+ years? Ugni, because there are people who are willing to keep on running them for whatever reasons it is. That's how they've survived, right? Now comfortable with the governments finding things they can't control. Vaishnav, the problem is, in an Indian context, is that the government still hasn't understood that it's not under their jurisdiction, or even the Supreme Court hasn't, because law of sports stands above law of the land. And this is something that, So sorry if I get a little political. In Europe, there are many illegal immigrants. Then how do they sign for clubs with EU nationality at youth level? Utsav, how do illegal immigrants sign? I mean, who's telling you this? Anyone who signs at youth level for a club is gonna have a legal status of some sort, and even if it's that of an asylum seeker, no one illegal will be able to sign for an academy in Europe. I had a fight with him this January as well, and he's very arrogant. I was talking so properly with him, and he started making fun of me and even cussed me. I can show messages, well, not lying, but there's no grudges now. TK. Right, 1 hour 56 minutes on this Monday evening. Sorry, wanting to come to an end of this live. Once more, the reminder, if you haven't, like, share, and subscribe. Arunfoot here on YouTube. As I say, visit my shorter videos. If you're new, do subscribe, sign on, and yeah, do come back. I'll take this question from Palash as the last one. Do you know anyone in the operations of Diamond Harbour FC? I'm asking was I don't know any of them. Can we trust them as a club who will do things the right way? Palash, I know. Good question. Who do I know? I wouldn't be able to tell you. At least for now, I don't recollect knowing anyone at Diamond Harbour FC, but I don't also know all the names that are involved in the club, so maybe I do know them. But at the moment, no, not coming to my mind. But anyway, let's come to an end of this live. As I said, like, share, and subscribe. Arunfoot here on YouTube. Visit my other social media. There's arunfoot.com as well. Watch the short videos. Keep supporting the channel. Let's keep on having Indian football discussions. As I said, at some stage this week, not sure when, I'll be doing a first Bangla discussion on this platform. So also never stop supporting Indian football. I'll be back very soon. And I'll be signing off. Bye for now.